Have you ever wondered why, even when life finally gives you what you wanted, peace still slips through your fingers? You achieve, you love, you win, yet something inside still aches quietly. That's because suffering isn't born from pain. It's born from attachment, from the mind's endless need to control what was never meant to be controlled. As one ancient teaching says, freedom begins the moment you stop chasing what cannot stay. What if the real battle isn't against life, but against your own resistance to it? And what if ending suffering has nothing to do with fixing the outside world, but mastering the inside one? Before we begin, subscribe to Deep Wisdom, where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. Stay till the end. There's a powerful bonus teaching waiting for you. One truth that, once understood, will change the way you experience every emotion, every challenge, and every breath. 1. The illusion of the unfinished moment. We spend most of our lives believing that peace lies somewhere ahead, in the next goal, the next success, the next sunrise. Yet, the Buddha reminds us, we suffer not because life is incomplete, but because we refuse to see it as already whole. Think about that. How often have you whispered to yourself, once I achieve this, then I'll rest? But rest never comes, because the mind has mastered the art of postponing peace. Imagine a butterfly chasing its own shadow. No matter how fast it flutters, the shadow remains just out of reach. This is how we live, chasing something that has never truly left us. We run after the illusion of the next, the more, the better, believing that fulfillment will finally begin once we arrive somewhere else. But where is else? And who told you that this moment, this simple breath, is not enough? Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your breath enter and leave, effortless, complete, asking for nothing more. This is the wisdom of the present moment. It is not waiting to be perfected. It is not missing anything. It is whole, just as it is. And yet, the restless mind refuses to accept it. It calls this moment unfinished. It wants to polish life like a mirror that's already shining. In Buddhist teaching, this restless craving is called dukkha, the dissatisfaction that arises when we argue with what is. We cling to the idea that something is missing, that life must improve before we can truly breathe. But the moment you stop demanding that the present be different, suffering begins to dissolve like mist under morning sunlight. Ask yourself gently, what if nothing is missing from this moment? What if every breath, every sound, every silence is already the fulfillment you've been searching for? Notice how much of your pain comes from the whisper, "Not yet." The promise that peace will come after success, after healing, after change. But peace does not follow life. It is life once you stop arguing with it. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." When you understand this, the endless search loses its power. You realize that you have never been incomplete, only distracted. Your suffering was not the absence of peace, but your blindness to it. The miracle of the moment has always been here, waiting for your attention. So, pause. Let your breath remind you that you have already arrived. Let this be your practice, to meet each moment not as a means to something else, but as an end in itself. The path ends where presence begins, because suffering ends the moment you stop chasing the next moment and start living this one. 2. Craving for control, the hidden fire. We spend so much of our life trying to make everything go our way. The plans, the timing, the people. We believe that control is safety, that if we hold tightly enough, nothing will fall apart. Yet the Buddha's wisdom whispers, the tighter you grip, the faster it burns away. Life, like fire, cannot be held without being hurt by it. The more we try to master it, the more it slips through our hands. Why do we try to control a life that has never once obeyed our plans? Think of the times you've mapped everything perfectly, only for something unseen to change the direction completely. The job that fell through, the relationship that didn't unfold as you hoped, the future that never arrived as promised. And still, we keep trying. Still, we believe that the next attempt will bring order to the uncontrollable. Imagine holding a handful of sand. At first, it feels steady in your palm, secure. But the moment you tighten your fist, the grains begin to fall away, one by one, until your hand holds only strain. This is how control behaves. The harder you cling to certainty, the faster it escapes. True peace is not found in controlling life, but in allowing it to unfold, moment by moment, with open hands. Have you ever wondered why, even when life finally gives a... Picture yourself now, slowly opening your hand, letting the grains of sand fall effortlessly. Feel that release, that quiet surrender. This is not defeat. This is wisdom. It is the understanding that life has its own rhythm, one that doesn't need to be managed, only met with awareness. When you loosen your grip, you begin to see that the world was never against you. It was only asking you to trust it. The Buddha taught that craving, even for control, is a fire that consumes the mind. It feeds on fear, on the illusion that if we plan enough, predict enough, perfect enough, we can escape uncertainty. But uncertainty is not your enemy. It is the heartbeat of life itself. Every sunrise, every breath, every ending, none of it was ever truly under your command. And yet, somehow, it all continues. That's the mystery we forget. Ask yourself, what would life feel like if you stopped managing it? If you let things flow instead of forcing them? Is your control really protecting you or silently draining you? Every time you let go, something remarkable happens. Clarity returns, peace returns, and life begins to move again, naturally. The river never asks how to reach the sea, it simply flows. And maybe that is what we are meant to do, to flow with existence, not against it. Freedom does not come from holding tighter, but from learning to open. So, where can you loosen your grip today? What if this very moment, right here, right now, is asking you to trust, to surrender, to breathe? Remember this truth. When you stop trying to control life, you finally begin to live it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I choose inner freedom." 3. The beauty of non-resistance. There comes a quiet moment in every seeker's journey when they realize peace was never hiding behind control or perfection. It was waiting behind surrender. The Buddha once said, "Peace begins the moment you stop arguing with reality." Those words may sound gentle, but they hold the power to end lifetimes of suffering. Because suffering is not born from what happens. It's born from our refusal to accept what happens. Think about it. How many times have you whispered, "This shouldn't be happening"? How many nights have you stayed awake, replaying the same story in your mind, wishing for a different ending? We believe resistance protects us, but it only builds walls against the very peace we seek. Life moves like a river, unstoppable, unrepeatable, always flowing. The moment we fight its current, we begin to drown in our own struggle. Imagine a river meeting a stone. The stone stands firm, unyielding, trying to hold its ground. The water does not resist it. It simply flows around, over, and through, patient, calm, accepting. Yet over time, the water wears the stone smooth. That is the silent power of non-resistance, gentle but unstoppable. True strength is not in how tightly we hold, but in how gracefully we flow. Close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath. Imagine it moving through you like a calm river, steady, unhurried, accepting every bend and rock along its path. Feel how nature itself never resists what is. The tree does not fight the wind, the ocean does not curse the storm. They simply adapt, bend, and continue. So why should we, who are part of this same universe, believe we must fight life to be free? The Buddha's wisdom invites us to trust the flow more than our fear. Resistance comes from fear, the fear that acceptance means weakness, that surrender means giving up. But surrender in Buddhism is not defeat, it is awakening. It is realizing that life does not need our approval to be beautiful. It needs only our awareness. Ask yourself softly, what are you resisting right now? Is it change, loss, uncertainty? And what if, just for a moment, you stopped pushing it away? What if surrender is strength in disguise? The moment you stop fighting what is, your energy returns to what can be. Acceptance does not mean you approve of everything. It means you stop being at war with it. Only then can peace enter. Remember, water never resists the stone, yet it transforms it completely. Likewise, when you stop resisting life, you do not lose your power. You discover it. You learn that the most profound freedom is not controlling the flow, but flowing with it. Because in truth, peace was never something to achieve. It was what remained once you stopped resisting. 4. Detachment, the art of holding lightly. There is a gentle art in life that few truly master, the art of holding lightly. The Buddha once said, "Love deeply but hold lightly, that is freedom." These words remind us that love and attachment are not the same. We confuse them because we fear loss, and so we hold too tightly. But what we hold too tightly, we begin to crush. The flower cannot bloom in a clenched fist. Can you love without clinging? Can you care without chains? These are not easy questions. The human heart longs to possess what it cherishes, people, memories, even identities. But possession breeds fear, fear of change, fear of loss, fear that without what we hold, we are incomplete. Detachment in Buddhism is not coldness or indifference. It is love purified of fear. It is care without control, compassion without craving. Imagine a lotus rising from muddy water. It is surrounded by all that could stain it, yet it remains untouched, pure, radiant, and free. That is the image of detached love. To live in this world, to touch it fully, to feel deeply, yet remain untouched by its constant changes. This is the art of true freedom. The lotus does not reject the mud, for it knows the mud nourishes it. Similarly, detachment does not mean withdrawal. It means being fully present, and yet not imprisoned by the outcome. Close your eyes for a moment. Visualize yourself surrounded by the people, dreams, and possessions you hold dear. Feel your heart expand, not to grasp, but to embrace. Imagine holding them not as property, but as gifts. Feel how your love deepens when it is no longer burdened by fear. When your heart is spacious, you give more, not less, because your peace no longer depends on keeping anything the same. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering because all things are impermanent. Everything you hold, every person, every joy, will change form. When we resist this truth, we suffer twice, once when things change, and again when we refuse to accept it. But when we see that change is not an enemy, but a law of nature, the chains fall away. Love becomes pure, not because it demands to last, but because it exists fully now. Ask yourself gently, are you holding or embracing? One comes from fear, the other from freedom. What if letting go doesn't mean losing, but freeing? What if your love grew lighter, wiser, more peaceful, not by owning, but by appreciating? When you understand this, even loss begins to feel like transformation. Detachment is not distance, it is balance. It is learning to love the rain without fearing its end. It is learning to smile at the sunrise, knowing it will fade, yet not clinging to its warmth. Because love that is free of grasping becomes infinite. Remember this truth. The more lightly you hold, the more deeply you love. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I choose inner freedom." 5. Acceptance, the end of why me. There comes a time when the heart grows weary of asking, "Why me?" We whisper it in the shadows of loss, in the ache of disappointment, in the silence that follows heartbreak. Yet the Buddha teaches a deeper truth. Suffering ends where acceptance begins. Those words are not meant to dismiss your pain. They are meant to free you from becoming its prisoner. Because as long as we fight reality, we lose twice. Once to the pain itself, and again to our refusal to face it. What if every unfair thing in your life was not punishment, but invitation? What if each hardship carried a hidden seed of awakening, one that could only bloom when you stopped resisting it? The Buddha said that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain visits every life, but suffering lingers only when we demand the world to be different than it is. Acceptance is not weakness, it is the doorway to freedom. Imagine a wound on your skin. At first, you cover it, hide it, protect it. But when air and light finally touch it, it begins to heal. The wound becomes a window when you stop closing it. In the same way, your emotional wounds are not curses, they are openings. They allow light to enter where the armor of ego once stood. To accept is to breathe again, to release the story that life should have gone another way. Close your eyes for a moment. Visualize the hardest moment of your past, that one experience you still carry, heavy and unspoken. See it now as a teacher. Bow to it in your heart, not because it was easy, but because it shaped you. It taught you endurance, compassion, humility. Without it, you would not see life as clearly as you do now. Pain, when faced with awareness, becomes wisdom. The Buddha's path is not about avoiding what hurts. It's about meeting it with open eyes. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means saying, "This too is part of my journey." It means trusting that even what feels unbearable has meaning. When you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" suffering begins to soften. You move from victim to student, from resistance to peace. Ask yourself gently, what has pain been trying to teach you? Can you bow to what once broke you? What if your suffering has always been your mirror, showing you where you still resist, where you still cling, where you still fear? Each time you accept, you dissolve another layer of illusion and your heart grows lighter. Acceptance is not an end. It is a beginning, the beginning of peace, clarity, and freedom. When you finally stop arguing with life, you begin to hear it speak. And it whispers the same truth the Buddha shared long ago. Everything that happens for awakening. The moment you accept that, suffering has no reason to stay. 6. The still mind, calm in the chaos. There is a sacred calm that lives beneath every storm, a stillness untouched by noise, untouched by chaos. The Buddha said, "When the lake of the mind is still, even storms reflect beauty." These words remind us that peace is not found by escaping life's chaos, but by learning to rest within it. The world outside will always move, people will change, situations will shift, time will never stop. But within you, there exists a place that never trembles. How do you stay peaceful when the world keeps shaking you? The answer is simple, yet profound. You stop chasing the wind. The mountain does not chase the wind. It remains silent and unmoved. It allows the storm to pass without losing its ground. But most of us live like the wind itself, restless, pulled by every emotion, thought, and fear that arises. One harsh word can break our calm. One disappointment can steal our joy. We forget that peace is not something we find, it's something we allow. Imagine your mind as a lake. Every thought, every worry, every memory is a ripple on the surface. The more you chase the ripples, the more disturbed the water becomes. But when you breathe deeply, when you simply observe without reacting, the ripples begin to fade. The lake clears. In that stillness, everything becomes beautiful, even the storm's reflection. This is the essence of meditation, not running from the storm, but seeing through it. Take a slow, deep breath now. Feel the air entering your lungs, soft and cool. Imagine your thoughts as ripples on a lake. Watch them rise, then fade away, leaving only stillness. This stillness is not emptiness, it is awareness. It is where peace lives. When you learn to rest here, the chaos outside loses its power to control you. The Buddha taught that the untrained mind is like a monkey, jumping from one branch to another, never still, never at ease. But when you begin to observe your mind instead of being it, you step into freedom. You become the watcher, not the storm. And in that awareness, a quiet truth arises, that no matter how loud the world becomes, it cannot disturb what is silent within you. Ask yourself gently, do you live like the wind or the mountain? Can you observe your mind instead of being it? What would life feel like beyond thought? When the mind is still, problems lose their grip, emotions lose their weight, and you begin to see life as it truly is, fluid, fleeting, beautiful. Stillness is not withdrawal. It is power. It is the strength to remain centered while the world moves. Remember, peace is not the absence of storms. It's the ability to reflect beauty even in the middle of one. 7. Gratitude in the midst of change. There is a gentle magic that begins when you stop waiting for reasons to be grateful and start realizing that gratitude itself is the reason. The Buddha taught that when you thank life, it softens its grip on you. So often, we live believing that we must first receive something, success, love, comfort, before we can feel grateful. But the deeper truth is that gratitude is not a reaction to happiness. It is the soil from which happiness grows. Think for a moment. What if gratitude is not the result of a peaceful life, but the path to one? Most people give thanks only when life is kind, when things go their way, when the sun shines, when love feels close. But when the winds of change blow, gratitude fades. The mind begins to demand, to question, to resist. Yet, the Buddha's wisdom invites us to do the opposite, to thank even the impermanent, even the uncertain, even the loss. Because when you thank life, it loosens its hold over you. You stop being a prisoner of your desires and become a companion of what is. A candle does not wait for light, it becomes the light. Gratitude is that flame. It transforms the darkest moment into something sacred simply by choosing to see the lesson hidden within it. Even in suffering, there is something to honor, a truth being revealed, a strength being born, a layer of illusion being burned away. When you live with this awareness, change no longer feels like punishment. It feels like a teacher guiding you back to the present moment. Take a slow breath. With every exhale, whisper softly, "Thank you." Not for what you have, not for what you wish to gain, but simply for being here, breathing, feeling, witnessing. Notice how the heart softens when it thanks instead of demands. This is the quiet power of gratitude. It turns pain into perspective, chaos into clarity, and fear into faith. The Buddha reminded us that impermanence is the nature of all things. Gratitude does not resist this truth. It dances with it. It sees every fleeting moment as precious precisely because it will never come again. When you thank life as it is, in its changing colors and shifting seasons, you begin to experience freedom. Gratitude becomes your anchor in the storm, your warmth in the cold, your light in the darkness. Ask yourself gently, what have you forgotten to appreciate today? Could gratitude be your path back to peace? How does your heart feel when it thanks instead of demands? The practice of gratitude is not about denying pain. It's about remembering that even pain can awaken something beautiful within you. Because when you learn to thank life, even when it changes, you discover a peace that nothing can take away. The peace of being alive, aware, and free. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I choose inner freedom." 8. Mindful presence, returning home to now. The Buddha once said, "The present moment is not a place you visit, it's where you belong." Yet most of us spend our days anywhere but here. We wander through memories that no longer exist and fears that have not yet arrived. We chase thoughts as if they hold the key to peace, forgetting that peace has never moved. It waits quietly in this very breath. Why do we wander through thoughts, searching for what's already here? The mind, by nature, resists stillness. It craves movement toward what it desires, away from what it fears. But this endless wandering is what keeps us lost. We look for meaning in the future, healing in the past, and in doing so, we miss the miracle unfolding now. Life is not happening somewhere else. It is always this sound, this sensation, this breath. Imagine a traveler who circles the entire world searching for home, only to return and realize it was within him all along. That traveler is you. You've been running through time, through goals, through emotions, trying to arrive. Yet the only destination there ever was is this moment. When you finally stop running, when you pause and truly feel this instant, you realize you were never lost, only distracted. Take a slow breath. Feel your feet touching the ground. Hear the faint sounds around you, the rhythm of life breathing beside you. This is presence. Simple, profound, and healing. You don't have to earn it or achieve it. You only have to notice it. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is the direct path to freedom because awareness dissolves illusion. When you are present, the past loses its grip and the future loses its fear. What remains is peace, untouched, complete, alive. The present moment has no suffering in it. Suffering exists only in resistance, in the stories the mind tells about what was or what might be. When you return to the now, those stories fade, and all that's left is reality. Raw, vibrant, peaceful. This is why the Buddha called mindfulness the way home. Because no matter where you've been, no matter what you've lost, the present is always waiting to receive you. Ask yourself softly, where does your mind run when it's not here? How much peace hides inside the now? What if presence is the only enlightenment you'll ever need? Each breath you take is a doorway, a return to what has always been. You don't have to escape life to find peace. You only have to wake up to it. Because the moment you come home to now, you discover that peace was never gone. You were. 9. The freedom beyond desire. The Buddha once said, "Desire says, I will be happy when. Wisdom says, I am happy now." This single truth reveals the root of all suffering, our endless reaching for what we believe will finally complete us. Every craving carries a promise. When I get this, I'll be at peace. But the moment one desire is fulfilled, another is born. Like a flame flickering in the wind, the mind dances restlessly, never still, never satisfied. What if you could want nothing and still feel complete? Imagine the freedom of that. Imagine not needing anything to be different, not waiting for something to arrive before allowing yourself to rest. The Buddha taught that craving is the origin of suffering because it chains the mind to the illusion of not yet. It whispers that happiness is always on the other side of something. Another success, another possession, another person. But desire is a mirage. You can chase it your entire life, and it will always stay one step ahead. A flame stops flickering when the wind of desire rests. When you no longer feed the craving, peace emerges naturally, not because you've gained something new, but because you've stopped losing yourself in longing. The true nature of the mind is calm, luminous, content. It is desire that clouds it, stirring waves of restlessness and fear. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself free of all craving, still, luminous, whole. Feel that space inside you that needs nothing to be complete. That is your natural state, the state of freedom. The Buddha called it nirvana, not as a place to go, but as a realization. The fire of desire has gone out, and what remains is peace beyond understanding. Desire makes us believe we are lacking. But look deeply. What is it you really seek? Is it the object itself, or the feeling you think it will bring? Every desire, at its core, is a longing to return to your own wholeness. Yet, that wholeness is not found in things, it's found in stillness. When you stop chasing, you discover that what you were running after was never outside you. It was waiting within you all along. Ask yourself gently, what is your mind chasing right now? What would remain if you stopped seeking? Can peace exist where desire ends? Each time you pause before acting on craving, you taste freedom. Each time you let go of wanting, you feel light returning to your being. The Buddha's wisdom is not about rejecting life's joys, but about seeing through their illusion of control. When you enjoy something without clinging to it, it becomes pure. When you release the demand for more, gratitude blooms. And that is the quiet truth. The moment you stop seeking happiness, you find it. Because peace is not a reward for desire fulfilled. It is the gift of desire released. 10. The ultimate seeing. Suffering is a teacher. There is a profound clarity that comes when you stop labeling life as good or bad and begin to see it as a teacher. The Buddha once said, "Pain is not punishment. It is the invitation to wake up." Most of us resist what hurts. believing suffering is a sign that life is unfair, that we have been wronged, that we are broken. Yet the truth is far deeper. Suffering is not the enemy. It is the guide. It points to the illusions we cling to, the attachments we cannot release, the parts of ourselves still asleep. What if everything that has ever hurt you was actually trying to show you freedom? Every loss, every heartbreak, every moment of fear or regret carries a hidden message. It asks you to wake, to see beyond the surface, to recognize the impermanence of all things. Pain does not punish, it purifies. Like gold purified by fire, the soul is refined through the heat of experience. Without it, clarity never comes. Without it, the mind remains clouded, resting in the comfort of ignorance. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing before your past pains. The wounds you have carried quietly, the moments that still sting when you recall them. Now bow to them, not in defeat, but in gratitude. Whisper softly in your heart, "Thank you for the lesson." In this act, suffering stops being something to fight and begins to be something to learn from. It becomes a mirror, reflecting the truths that comfort alone cannot reveal. The Buddha taught that suffering is like a lamp in the dark. Only when we face it directly do we see the corners of our own mind, the attachments that bind us, and the illusions we cling to. This is not easy. It takes courage to meet pain without flinching, to look without turning away. But the reward is liberation. The more we resist, the longer the fire burns. The more we accept, the more the light spreads, illuminating even what we feared most. Ask yourself gently, what has your suffering revealed that peace never could? Can you see pain as a friend, not an enemy? What would awakening look like if you stopped running from it? Each time you meet discomfort with awareness, you take a step toward freedom. Each time you bow to the lessons hidden in adversity, you dissolve the chains that keep you bound to illusion. Suffering is not the opposite of peace. It is the doorway to it. Every hardship, every challenge, every moment of struggle carries within it the seed of awakening. The moment you stop resisting, the moment you stop fleeing, the moment you choose to see clearly, you discover the most profound truth. Pain was never meant to break you. It was meant to wake you. Because when you finally see suffering as a teacher, not a tormentor, life itself becomes the path to awakening. And every moment, even the hardest, becomes a gift. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I choose inner freedom." Bonus principle: the end of I, awakening beyond the self. There comes a silence deeper than any word, a stillness that is not waiting for peace, but is peace itself. The Buddha whispered a truth that echoes across time. When the idea of me dissolves, peace has nowhere else to go but everywhere. For as long as we cling to the story of I, the thinker, the achiever, the wounded one, suffering finds a home. But when that story gently falls away, when the edges of self soften, something remarkable happens. The world opens and peace flows freely, unbounded. Who are you when you stop calling yourself by your story? Pause and consider. When you are not the successes you chase, not the failures you replay, not the pain you carry, what remains? The answer is simple yet profound: awareness itself. It watches without judgment. It breathes without effort. It knows without needing a label. This awareness has always been present, but it was veiled by the relentless I that demands, desires, and fears. Imagine a wave rising in the vast ocean. It believes it is separate, that it exists independently, that its rise and fall matter above all else. And yet, in truth, it has never been apart from the water. For a moment it appears moving, sparkling, alive, and then it returns seamlessly to the infinite whole. This is the nature of self. The I is a fleeting appearance, a shape on the surface, while consciousness, like the ocean, is eternal and unbound. Close your eyes now. Feel your breath rise and fall without command. Notice how it moves through you naturally. Your body breathes, your mind thinks, yet awareness simply watches. There is no need to hold, no need to push, no need to resist. In this watching, the walls of separation begin to dissolve. The small self, with its endless wants and fears, fades into the vastness of being. Ask yourself quietly, who are you beyond your thoughts, roles, and memories? What happens when you no longer say, "This is mine"? Could the end of suffering simply be the end of I? Each time you allow the self to rest, even briefly, you experience the liberation of presence. You see that life was never a burden to bear, only a mirror reflecting the fleeting stories you attach to. The Buddha taught that awakening is not about adding more to life, but about seeing clearly what already is. When the clinging to self ends, peace does not merely return to you, it fills all spaces. There is no boundary, no limit, no condition. Freedom, compassion, and joy arise naturally, because they were never contained by the I to begin with. So let the wave dissolve into the ocean. Let the story of me fall away. Watch, breathe, and rest in the awareness that has always been here. In the absence of I, suffering has nowhere to land, and the world becomes home. Quick summary of the principles. The illusion of the unfinished moment. We suffer because we constantly chase completion, believing peace lies in the next achievement or tomorrow's promise. True calm arises when we realize this very moment is already whole and nothing more is needed to feel complete. Craving for control, the hidden fire. The need to control life is the silent source of our anxiety. Peace begins the moment we allow life to unfold on its own, when we replace control with trust and surrender to the natural rhythm of existence, the beauty of non-resistance. Every time we resist what's happening, we multiply our pain. Non-resistance doesn't mean giving up. It means aligning with life's flow. When we stop fighting reality, calmness enters naturally. Detachment, the art of holding lightly. Detachment is not coldness or indifference. It's emotional maturity. It's the strength to love without losing yourself, to care without clinging, and to allow life to move through you without fear. Acceptance, the end of why me. Acceptance dissolves the illusion of injustice. When we stop demanding that life fit our preferences, we see that every event, even the painful ones, holds a lesson for awakening and self-understanding. The still mind, calm in the chaos. A still mind is not empty. It's awake, clear, and peaceful. When you no longer react to every passing emotion or thought, you rise above chaos and discover unshakable inner calm. Gratitude in the midst of change. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already here. It transforms suffering into understanding and turns ordinary moments into sacred experiences, even amidst uncertainty. Mindful presence, returning home to now. The present moment is your true home, the only place peace exists. By returning to now, we stop living in regrets or fears and experience the richness of being fully alive. The freedom beyond desire. Desire keeps the mind restless, always chasing more. When we realize happiness doesn't depend on gaining anything, we step into true contentment, a freedom untouched by circumstances. The ultimate seeing, suffering is a teacher. Suffering isn't a curse, but a guide that awakens us to deeper truths. Every pain carries wisdom, showing us where we're still attached. And when we understand that, peace naturally follows. In the quiet of understanding, suffering loses its power. Every pain you've endured was never meant to break you, only to awaken you. The storms, the losses, the long nights of confusion, all were gentle pushes from life, urging you to look inward, where calmness has always been waiting. You were never lost, only searching in the wrong direction. When you no longer resist what is, life stops being a battlefield and becomes a flowing river. You start to see that peace isn't something to achieve. It's what remains when you stop clinging to how things should be. The awakened one doesn't escape the world. They walk through it silently, free from the need to win, prove, or control. That is the essence of Buddhist freedom. Enlightenment is not found in escaping life, but in fully seeing it just as it is. So take a deep breath, let go of what burdens your heart, and return to this stillness within. If these teachings touched you, like and share this video, share your reflections in the comments, and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more timeless Buddhist insights to help you live calmly, peacefully, and awake.